Drama is a great way to do it. Okay? Excellent. Group 4. Good. Good ideas here. Okay?
Trust and mutual respect.
Okay? How would you establish trust? What do you think? Tell them, trust me. I know what's best for you. Seriously, how would you establish trust? Any ideas on that?
Safe environment.
Create a safe environment. Okay? Trust, respect, safe environment. One of the ways to establish trust, believe it or not, goes back to this. You can tell them that you can write confidentially. And the only time I will talk about what you've written with another teacher or a parent is if you say something that is, we talk about safety. If you say, I want to kill another student. Or if you say, I'm so depressed that I might kill myself. Okay? You need to let the students know. In a case like that, you need to do something. You need to be responsible. But if the student is just talking about their boyfriend or girlfriend and their feelings being hurt, you don't share it. That's one of the ways you can establish trust. It's between you and them and nobody else. So when you're doing this kind of thing, personal journals, you don't share it with others. Unless the student gives you permission. Otherwise, you don't do it. Okay, so that's a way of establishing. What about number 5? Group 5. Yeah?
We have rapport. Establish rapport as quickly as possible.
Rapport is always important. Establishing rapport, there's many ways to do it. You can interview students. You can talk about their own interests. Rapport is very powerful. Group 6.
Our group things is offering the place and times
Offering place and times for what?
for the kids to express their feeling
Oh, good, yes.
and life, talk about their life
Sure.
after class. Just like the movie Free
Class.
Writer.
Okay, very good. Excellent. Okay, so we got some powerful ideas there. Very simple ideas, but powerful. All of these. Okay, that you can do. Acknowledging the names of the students, relating to the students, relating to the lesson. Okay, essays, journals, personal, allowing them to respond with personal ideas and so on. Spending casual time with them, using role models that the kids already respect. Tap into that. Very valuable. Okay, engage the students with drama. Building trust and respect through safe environment, rapport, very important. Okay? And giving them some time to express their own feelings and talk about life outside the school. All of these will help. Okay? And there are many other ideas. Thank you for that. Okay?
Excuse me,
Yes,
is
please.
what is essay plus journals minors?
Essays and journals, personal, means that if a student, you get them to write in the journal, right? And you say you can write anything you want. And so they write about it. And some of them will write pretty powerful stuff. They'll write about problems at home. If they have a parent, if their parents are going through a divorce, they may write about it. If there's a sibling that is doing drugs, they may write about it. And you tell them that you will not share any of that unless there's a safety issue involved. If the student talks about committing suicide, you've got to go talk to a counselor. You can't just leave it. Okay? But if they're talking about problems with their boyfriend or problems at home, you don't share that with anyone. You can talk to the kid about it, but it doesn't go anywhere else. Okay? So they feel that they can talk to you on that level. Some of them will say things in their journal they'll never tell you in person. Okay? Is that okay? All right. Any other questions on that? Okay, let's continue. And no more what? Previous. Characteristic 6. Okay. I'm going to ask you to reflect on this one because of time issues. I'm going to ask you to sort of reflect on this a little bit on your own. And just read the section on that. But we've already talked about it. There's a lot of the things that relate to the other issues we talked about relate to challenging students as well. And one of the biggest ways you can do it, we already talked about at the beginning of the evening, is the assumptions you make. Making the assumption, generally speaking, that the student can do it, that the student is capable. All right? Even if they maybe demonstrate less capability than you might hope. You believe in them and you tell them over and over again that they have the potential, and believe it or not, a lot of the time they will show that potential, they will develop it. Okay? And there are many examples of that. All right? Stand and Deliver is a great example of that, actually, on a larger scale. That's exactly what Jaime Escalante did with his whole class. You know, they always, remember, how many of you watched the movie Stand and Deliver? Okay? Nobody watched it? Okay, I highly recommend it. Okay? The language is a little rough, but the message is fantastic. basically what Jaime Escalante started, he's the teacher in that. And he goes into this classroom and they're all sitting there like, and he's saying, you know, you guys are going to take the AP exam at the end of this math class, and you are going to do well in it. And they're like, hey man, you know, like they're saying things like, you know, we're all from the hood, you know, meaning we're sort of criminal element. That's the kind of things that we're from the hood. We ain't going to be successful. We're a bunch of losers. Our parents are drug addicts. You know, these are the kids telling Mr. Escalante, we cannot be successful. And he's like, you guys can do this. And he talked to them on their level, rapport. Remember that? It's like, yeah, he used some of the language they use. Like, you know, you better effing believe you can do it. That kind of thing. Excuse me. But he would do that kind of thing. That's why I say the movie's a little rough in language terms. You have to be kind of prepared for that. But he was able to get into the student's mindset. But he made the assumption. Okay? And that's one of the best ways to challenge students is make an assumption they can do it. Believe that they can do it. And sometimes they'll surprise you. A lot of the time they will. That's what Jaime Escalante did, and it worked for him and for his group. Many of those guys, by the way, have gone on to successful careers. Have done very, very well. I know that if it had not been for him, they may have just wound up doing drugs or whatever. Probably some of them would have wound up dead. Okay? This I just wanted, we're not really going to discuss this right now, but I want to just tie up with this. We'll use this to close. And I think you can relate back to a lot of what we talked about. Okay, so I'm going to ask you to think about this on your own as sort of an assignment. Not an assignment that I'm necessarily going to collect, but maybe we'll talk for about 5 minutes at the beginning of next week. Okay? But if you teach a man anything, he will never learn it. This is a quote from George Bernard Shaw. And you might say, well, we're educators. What we do is we teach. True. But if you look at some of the ideas that we've discussed tonight, and the ideas that we've discussed in previous weeks, a lot of it is about drawing out, remember the Socratic element from the philosophy that we talked about, drawing out, or St. Augustine, drawing out what is inside of the student, okay? Rather than just giving, what was it somebody said earlier, who said talking to rather, was that Guy?
Yeah.
Talking to students? No, or talking to rather than talking at, or even better, talking with, right? Than talking, not talking at, does that make sense? Same kind of idea. So think about that, and maybe we'll talk about that for about 5 minutes at the beginning of next week, okay, or maybe a little longer. Okay, so I think, I'm going to just click my slide here and make sure I'm in my right mindset, but yeah, we're pretty much to the end of what we have for tonight, okay? Are there any questions on any of what we've talked about? I hope you see the value of some of this. A lot of these practices are not what we would call rocket science. They're not super difficult to understand. Where the difficulty is in applying it and working on it and practicing it, and that takes time. And none of us is at the end result. Certainly I'm not. Okay? We've all got more that we can do in these areas. Okay? Any questions or concerns about anything, about what we've talked about tonight or anything else? Okay? If you do have some that you want to talk about it with me after, that's good. All right? Yes? After? Yeah, okay. Thank you very much, everybody. You guys have a good week. Nice job.